We are live here, the Seattle Kraken, with an incredible, thrilling, heart-pounding, scintillating comeback against the St. Louis Blues tonight. They were down 2-0, and then they tied the game at 2-2, and then they were down with, initially it was like 0.5 seconds left. The Kraken tie the game in the last few seconds, and then Shane Wright scoring in overtime. Boy, howdy, Glenn. There was a lot going on tonight. And Glenn, you are not in Seattle. Where are you? You're at an undisclosed location. There are no context clues. So we have no idea where you could be.
Well, I'm at a place with a big landmark that is very skinny and goes up high in the sky. But this isn't the Space Needle, it's the CN Tower, because I'm in Toronto for the Hall of Fame inductions. So here's a question for everybody. Did you see this Kraken rally coming? Raise your hand. Put your hands down. You did not see that coming. The Kraken had done nothing all the third period. Only 4 shots on goal in the final, or the first 19 minutes and 57 seconds. Even with Kraken goalie Philip Grubauer on the bench for a 6th attacker for most of the final 3 minutes, the Kraken still only had 4 shots on goal. Then Chandler Stevenson finds the mark with a second and a half left. A lengthy video review looked at whether Jordan Eberle at the lip of the crease had interfered with Blues goalie Joel Hofer. Now, Zame, the Blues TV crew was sure that Eberle was guilty of interference, wiping out the goal. And since the Situation Room here in Toronto, just a few miles or kilometers from where I'm speaking to you, had initiated the review, there was reason for a queasy stomach that they'd seen something. But the call of the goal on the ice was upheld. So Seattle at that point, we know, had earned a point in the 11th of 14 games so far this season. Were you getting a queasy stomach?
Oh, yes. I initially, like, I think every Kraken fan would like, oh, this is great. Like, oh, we're in overtime. And then it's like, yeah, we did it. We did it. We did it. We did it. Or, wait, did we do it? Oh no. Oh no. Oh God. Oh God, did we not do it? Oh no, is it not being done? Oh no. What is happening? What is happening? What? I can't celebrate. I don't know what to, and then, oh, okay, all right. Call in the ice stance. So, no, okay. Yeah, see, we did it. I knew all along. I no doubt in my mind. Yeah, it was a little bit of a queasy feeling.
What were they saying on the Kraken broadcast?
They were a lot less convinced than the Blues broadcast was. But, you know, it wasn't like, oh, this is clearly a goal. And yeah, John and JT were pretty measured and fair, like they tend to be. And so there was a question. It's like, well, this could go either way. And then obviously, they called the goal good, and we got to play in overtime.
The ruling from the Situation Room, by the way, was that whether or not Eberle made contact with the goalie's stick or pads or some part of his body, they determined that it did not impact Hofer's ability to play the shot by Stevenson. So that is why they decided to uphold the goal.
Who's on the Blues broadcast now? It's not John Kelly and Darren Pang. I know they both moved on.
No, it's a simulcast with the two guys who used to be their radio broadcasters.
Oh, interesting.
In any case, we did go to overtime, and the Kraken never gave up possession of the puck for nearly 2 minutes. They cycled, they changed lines, but they kept possession of the puck, which appears to be their strategy for winning what would be winning their third overtime game this year. Shane Wright finds a seam to the net. Two of the three Blues players on the ice, Shannon and Parenko, get crossed up as players in the offensive zone in overtime like to crisscross, hoping it'll create a free lane to the net. Wright gets that, and he scores for a most improbable Kraken victory.
Yeah, if the Blues had committed a penalty at the start of overtime, and the Kraken were not allowed to add a player, the game would have played out the same, in that as soon as the Blues touch the puck, the play is stopped and the penalty starts, and the Kraken just had puck possession the whole time. And then Shane Wright with a beautiful shot. It was not a gimme by any stretch. I like what do you say about this team? I see we've got some disagreement about the penalty itself. We'll just pull it up here. Anyway. If we can. So Safari Elvis says Safari Elvis 36. I do not mean to disparage Safari Elvis 1 through 35. That was goal interference. Kraken won by cheating. Cheaters. So that not only do they win by cheating, but then they're also cheating. So we're reinforcing the fact that they win by cheating. So I think that the officials are the ones that ultimately make the determination, and the players just play on the ice. But perhaps there was some nefariousness or some dishonesty. What will Pablo Torre find out?
What he'll find out is that the Kraken have been on the wrong side of a lot of situation room rulings over the last few years. So I doubt that there's a pro-Kraken bias here in Toronto. And it was maybe borderline, but the call on the ice was that it was a good goal. So there had to be conclusive evidence to overturn that call. My concern was, because the situation room initiated the review, that they thought that it at least was worth looking at. And in fact, their determination was not whether Eberle did make contact or didn't, just that it wasn't a material amount of contact to keep Hofer from playing the shot.
And presumably, if they had ruled on the ice that it was not a goal, then they wouldn't have overturned it and said, yeah, this is a goal. And then the Kraken lose, and then we have a much sadder conversation.
Or at least they keep playing.
Yeah.
For another second and a half.
Yeah.
Now,
initially there was a 0.5 seconds left, and then they ruled it 1.5 seconds. Was that the exact time? 1.5. Okay.
One interesting aspect to me of Wright's overtime goal is that even with the overtime shift, Shane only played about 12 minutes in the game, not very much. And I'm left wondering why. I actually ran into one of his bantam coaches today in Toronto, who had accompanied him when he was 14 years old on a bantam trip to France, who told me that even then he knew that Shane Wright was something special. And I still think he is. And I wish he was getting more playing time.
Yeah, there was some line shakeups here. Shane Wright ended up on a line with Mason Marchment and Ryan Winterton, and we can talk about Ryan Winterton and transition to the what happened to get the Kraken down in the first place. Um, Also noting that Joey Decord is on injured reserve, so he's going to miss at least 4 games. And Riker Evans made his return, so his season debut. Yeah, so I thought the Kraken, they played okay in the first period. However, people may disagree because they were down 2-0. The first goal coming off of a brutal Ryan Winterton turnover. He's been so good this year. He's been so responsible. I think he's been really really smart. But instead of playing the puck up the wall, it kind of throws in the middle of the ice, and then leaves poor Philip Grubauer just with no hope to stop. Was it Dylan Holloway? I think.
Yes.
Yeah, Dylan Holloway.
This looked like, Zame, the fourth period of the Sharks game on Wednesday. And for those of you who have wanted to have amnesia about that game, the Kraken dropped a stinker to the Sharks 6-1 at home on Wednesday. But okay, you have 2 days off. So you turn it off and you turn it back on, right? Like reset, like your laptop. So you go on the road, you bond, you wash that off, you come out strong in St. Louis. Instead, the first period was a continuation of the San Jose game. What Winterton did was brain cramp. You never attempt a diagonal cross-ice pass from the far corner to the near right post in your own zone. Holloway steals and scores. The Kraken are behind 5.5 minutes into the game. And the brain cramps in the first period aren't done. Seattle takes a too many men penalty, another unforced error. St. Louis converts on the power play. Seattle is down 2-0. Zane, this is sloppy hockey.
Well, I want to say one thing on the power play goal. That was a real lucky kind of fluky thing because initially it looked like Jamie Snuggerud, who was out in front, got the goal, and that's even John Forsland, who it's hard to fool. He got tricked. He's like, Jamie Snuggerud. It wasn't. It was so it was Dvorsky passed, and then Adam Larson. It goes off of his stick as he's trying to clear, and instead it just goes into the net. So it was an own goal. I don't know. I don't count those as being like an indication of poor play on the Kraken on that part because 97 times out of 100 or something, Adam Larson gets his stick on the puck and then it just goes to a harmless area or he clears it down the ice. It's just unlucky that it went off of his stick and then into the net. It in with such speed that it looked like it was intentionally shot in. And then we assumed that it was not a member of his own team that put the puck behind Philip Grubauer.
Accepting your accounting of events, the sloppy play to me wasn't that one. It was taking a too many men penalty that put them in the position where they're having to kill and they only have 4 defenders on the ice and they can't make up for that kind of play. It's an unforced error, and whether it's actually true or it just seems like it, those kind of unforced error penalties are the ones that always seem to result in a goal against, like the hockey gods are punishing you. So the other thing about that goal and the start of the game is if Lane Lambert and the coaching staff deserve credit, and they do for Seattle's fast start this season, they must shoulder some blame for that first period because the team was not ready to play tonight. Too many men penalties, not always, but often are on the coaches. And also not correcting the mistakes from the San Jose game looked like it was going to cost the Kraken 2 points tonight. And even though it didn't, I think it's still worth mentioning.
So the Kraken had too many men on the ice, which then results in them having not enough men on the ice. Isn't that weird?
It's something for greater minds than mine.
Yeah. Well, mine as well, which is why I ask. Second period.
Yeah.
Now we get to the second period, and the first period not good. Sloppy mistakes, bad turnovers, too many men on the ice, a penalty kill that continues to struggle. It looks kind of bad. You're down 2 goals on the road, but then we get a little bit of life from Riker Evans.
The second period has been the Kraken's best period all season. They outshot the Blues in the second period 15-5. They really turned it on. And in fact, there were 2 sights for sore eyes for the Kraken, and Riker Evans was one of those. So the Kraken defenseman, he had missed the first 13 games of the season with an injury. He comes back in his first game, and what you're not expecting from Riker Evans is goal scoring, but they got one. Maybe one that Hofer, the goalie, wants back, but Evans beats him cleanly on the short side, gives the Kraken some desperately needed life, 2-1, and an even bigger point that you made, Zane, is that Riker Evans is back, and the Kraken, for the first time all season, have their top 6 D-men intact.
Yeah, which is good timing, I guess, because the Kraken added a goalie injury with Joey Decord, and now Riker Evans comes back. I was kind of expecting something a little bit more like Kaapo Kakko's first game, where he admitted that he was tired, and Riker Evans, even the goal side, I thought he looked pretty good. Didn't look like he was
no, and he did play his share of minutes. But as I mentioned, Riker Evans was only one sight for sore eyes for the Kraken. The other, another welcome first, Eli Tolvanen on a power play, his first goal of the season. Zane, the Kraken need Tolvanen to be an offensive driver. Maybe this will open the floodgates. He's been playing better. And by the way, Tolvanen also had 2 assists in this game for a 3-point night. He's been piling up the helpers lately, but if he can find his way on the goal sheet, and we know scoring goals is a streaky thing. So just like you go 13 games without one, you get one. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ellie gets 1 or 2 more in the next week.
So Ellie Golvanen, but also Ellie Assistvanen, which doesn't really have a to it, but he had 2 assists and 1 goal. So really, maybe we should reconsider the nickname. Just saying.
Okay, the nickname department is open for business.
Yeah, and it was nice to see them score in the power play. I think they did bricked on their last 7 power plays, and so the power play had initially done pretty well, I think, to start the season. Sample size is small, and then you start, that Sharks game. Maybe you really do just throw it out and say, okay, you know what? Let's pretend that didn't happen, and that's not indicative of how the Kraken are playing all season.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it is a little weird to say, like, oh, okay, well, just throw this one game out of the 13 they played, but I think that might be skewing a little bit the overall perception of the team, especially with that game being so bad and the most recent
82 game schedule, you're going to have a stinker. The important thing was not to follow up the stinker with another stinker. And the Kraken certainly didn't play a full 60 minutes the way we all want them to, but they played 42 minutes maybe that way. And for good teams, sometimes that's enough. You know, Zane, the Kraken had not won all year after allowing the first goal of a game. They're 1 win, 2 regulation losses, 3 overtime losses now. And tonight they allowed the first 2 goals. But like we saw in the Montreal game, they do have an ability to come back. And as we have mentioned in the past, there's a lack of panic on this team. They don't really go away from what they're doing, but they do seem to have an ability to score timely goals and come back. This was just the first time this year, and heck, it's the 7th time already they've gone to overtime, but it was the first time this year that they had given up the first goal and come all the way back to win the game.
So there was a moment in the third period that had me very, very nervous. In fact, the most nervous I've been all game. Glenn, would you like to take a guess what that moment was?
Yes. I will guess it was when you received an email from your great uncle Tilly telling you that even though he'd gone to his reward several years earlier, he had found a way to email back and that he wanted the $3 that you had borrowed from him and hadn't returned.
And that's such classic Uncle Tilly. You know what? I thought, first of all, it's $3, and then he's like, oh, but also inflation and interest. Because, like, he's just a scumbag that way. Yeah, classic Uncle Tilly. But the second most nervous I was this game was when when the Kraken had pulled the goal.
Oh,
and,
yes.
And Joe Hofer, the goalie, he has plenty of time. He goes behind the net and he shoots the puck down the ice, and it looks like the Kraken are going to have an opposing goalie score on them. And I was like, no, not like I don't want that humiliation on this team's resume, because I don't know how many. I mean, there haven't been that many goalie goals scored, especially like ones where the goalie shot it. And there have been some goalie goals that have been credited to the goalie because it was the most recent one. But there have been a dozen, if that. And I didn't want the Kraken to be one of the. And then of course it's on the highlights, and they're like, hey, look, this goalie scored a goal, and then everyone, and it's like, oh, it's against the Kraken, and so instead it went just wide, and it was icing, and then the Kraken end up scoring and tying the game and then winning later. But it was real close, and I am so glad that at least, even if the Kraken had lost, just don't lose on a goalie goal. That's all I ask.
Don't you know that somewhere on injured reserve, Joey Decord was watching either in the arena or on TV going, no, that's supposed to be me doing that.
Yeah, that was the other thing too. Like how dare someone have a goalie goal against the Seattle Kraken when Joey Decord is on the team? That's our thing. Well, it's not really our thing because I haven't done it yet, but it will be our thing. Maybe, hopefully, one day.
Well, after that recent Joey Decord media scrum where we tried to talk about his goaltending after a recent victory, and all he wanted to talk about was shoot for the empty net and how shooters are going to shoot, and he's a shooter. So he didn't want one scored against the Kraken. And that play you mentioned, it also highlights how all of sports is such a game of inches. I mean, we saw it in the World Series several times. It's true in hockey as well. A couple of inches the other way. And Hofer That was a heck of a shot. He shot that from behind his own goal line. And if that goes in, if it's just a couple of inches the other direction, 4-2 Blues, game's over. Totally different conversation than the one we ended up having.
Instead, the Kraken now moved to second place in the Pacific. I know Vegas is playing right now, but at least for the time being, because this was an early game, the Kraken are currently second in the Pacific. So behind Anaheim of all teams, the one we expected.
This was a game that the Kraken had an excellent chance of winning, and maybe it shouldn't have been this difficult. The Blues did not pose an unbeatable challenge. They were 2-4-2 at home coming in, and Hofer, the goalie, maybe he's good at shooting for open nets, but in his own net, his goals against average was 4.08. So he ended up very much on brand. His goals save percentage was 864 coming in. So this was a game I think the Kraken would have kicked themselves had they not gotten 2 points.
One thing also to mention about goalies, I thought Philip Grubauer was pretty good. I don't think that there was a whole lot he could have done on any of the 3 goals. The third goal, the third Blues goal, was just like this ridiculous series of, like, there was like a scramble and then another scramble and then like a third scramble, and then Jordan Kyrou, who had just been a healthy scratch, got like the rebound, and it was like, well, what is the goalie supposed to do there? It started on a poor defensive play with one of the Blues players going in unimpeded, and then that started the nonsense that resulted in the goal. But the 3 goals that Grubauer gave up, I mean, none of them I don't think he could have done much about. One was on a turnover, and then right in front of him. One goes off his own teammate's stick, and then one is just like a scramble, mad frenzy, bevy of humanity situation.
One reason I love you, Zane, is because you are so charitable. You're always looking for the good in people. You're always a half glass filled kind of guy. And I appreciate that and I admire it. But in this case, I don't necessarily agree with it. On that 3-2 Blues goal in the third period by Jordan Kyrou, let me quote the SpongeBob SquarePants sea captain about Grubauer. He dropped on the deck and flopped like a fish. I mean, Grubauer, no stick, on his belly, on his side, and getting no help. But Blues only had like 19 shots in the game. So, Grubauer had no chance on any of those 3. He's paid to make himself have a chance. I want to see at least one shot a game that Philip Grubauer is not expected to save, but he does anyway. I want him to bail out the Ryan Winterton when Winterton makes an egregious error. Sometimes your goalie needs to bail you out. And I'm still not convinced Grubauer has the ability to do that. Now, you can call me Mr. Grinch. I'll accept it. Am I being too harsh?
Well, you're being harsh by making a Christmas reference before Thanksgiving. This is holiday creep, Glenn. This is why we have Jingle Bells in stores in October, and you're part of the problem. So that, you are being a Grinch. I think that you're not wrong. I think there are a couple of thresholds, and there's the goalie should make the saves that he's supposed to make, and then the next level is the goalie should make a save or two that he's not supposed to make. And I think what we've seen from Philip Grubauer is that he has been kind of below the point of, um, like making the saves you're supposed to make. Maybe he let in one or even two. That I'm like, oh man, I really wish Grubauer had that back. It really did seem like last year there was like one goal a game. It was like, oh man, Grubauer, wishes he had that one back. And so that's one level. Now, once you make all the stops you're supposed to make, then you can worry about making the stops on the Ryan Winterton turnover, or the bailing out the team. My expectations at this point for Phil Grubauer are that, based on his track record, I just want him to make the stops that he's supposed to. I just don't want him to give up any bad goals. And if he does that, then that's kind of where I think he is at this point of his career. And maybe that's me not expecting enough from a backup goaltender, but I think that he's a backup goaltender, and I don't expect that much from a backup, even if one who was not brought in, to be a backup and wasn't thought of as one. That's clearly who he is right now.
Well, we'll get some clarity on this. Joey Daccord is not eligible to come back at the earliest until next Saturday. Ironically, the rematch with the San Jose Sharks, the team against whom he was pulled after giving 5 goals and may have injured himself. But we will have a chance, I suspect, to see Grubauer again and Matt Murray, maybe as soon as Sunday in Dallas. So maybe for the first time this year, we'll get a chance to evaluate the backups and get some clue about which one should be sitting second chair to Joey Daccord when he comes back.
Yeah, so the Kraken are in a back-to-back, right? So it'll be Matt Murray tomorrow in Dallas. So Daccord didn't even make the trip with the team, and as you said, he's on injured reserve, so he's not eligible to return until next Saturday, even if he did make the trip with the team. I also don't have any real high expectations of Matt Murray at this point of his career either. So,
okay, here's what I'll say about Matt Murray. He's enough of an unknown quantity, and I hear what you're saying, but he's enough of an unknown quantity that there's still the possibility that there might be something more there than what we've seen. I don't think, as you correctly point out, like we're ever going to get more surprises out of Philip Grubauer.
Yeah, I think that the Matt Murray thing, I mean, it'd be nice, and maybe there's a glimmer of hope that he'll become Matt Murray in all caps, the one that won the Stanley Cups, but I'm not expecting it. I'm not counting on it. I'm expecting a backup goalie and another backup goalie, because that's who the Kraken have, because they're very, very good starting goalie is
well, Zane, eventually you would think they're going to have to choose between Murray and Grubauer. So one of them needs to take the reins, and this is the week to do it with Daccord not playing.
So an audition of sorts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have about this game. Do you have anything, Glenn?
No, I think 35 minutes emptied the tank. So it's on to Dallas, and Sunday in Big D. We'll see if the Kraken can ride the momentum of this victory to do something that they haven't done well since the 2023 playoffs, and that is give the Dallas Stars a real struggle.
The other thing that they get a chance to do, which they did not get to do all of last year, is win the second game of back-to-back.
Ooh, yes. And in Mason Marchment's return to Dallas, Mush.
Oh, yeah.
Back to Texas. where I am sure he will get a warm welcome, a tribute video, and then let's hope that he pisses the hell out of the Dallas Stars fans.
As Mason Marchment is want to do.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, for Davy Jones Locker Room, one thing I do want to say, please, if you could give a like and a subscribe, it really helps us out as we are getting things going. And we will see you next Saturday for the live stream. And check out our coverage at DavyJonesLockerRoom.com. I'm Zane Begg.
I'm Glenn Dreyfus.
All right. We will see you next time. Have a great night, everybody. Go Kraken.